Welcome everybody to another episode of Indie Game Lab Studios. I'm Garth, your host slash uh, nothing. I'm just your host. And today I'm being joined by James from Needy Cat Games. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
What are we playing today?
We are playing a game called Steel Colosseum. Steel Colosseum is a game about smashing up robots in a junkyard arena. It's a two versus two tag team combat kind of situation. It's designed for up to 4 players, so you can have kind of everyone controlling one robot in the team, someone controlling 2 robots in a team. It's fun. It's cinematic. It's full of carnage. We've been working on it for feels like forever, and it's so nice to see it kind of out in the world and people playing it.
All right. Well, I am looking forward to getting into that. Pardon me, I'm just making sure we're streaming. Okay, looks good. All right. I had a stream key thing today. Yeah. Okay. So here we are. We are streaming this. This game looks exciting as heck. It looks like kind of an arena battler. This what was that? What was that TV show? Was that on Comedy Central or something? Where there was like robots battling each other in like the arena.
So there was Robot Wars. There was
Robot Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of that kind of stuff has kind of come through. I grew up, so I age myself now. So I grew up in the 90s, like watching that on TV religiously. I loved it to bits.
Nice.
I met a friend years later, and I found out he'd been on Robot Wars, and like that was like ultra celebrity. I met the robot, and they're bigger than you realise. They're massive, and it's a thing that is very close to my heart. And so this game was kind of eventually going to happen, whether I wanted it to or not. It just kind of forced its way out of my brain, and here it is.
All right. Wonderful. So it looks like there's a lot going on. I got a quick rundown from you about the basic gameplay, but I think we're going to just tune in to a game sort of, it looks like they're kind of in progress, about to start. What are some things we should sort of be looking for? What's kind of the overview here?
Cool. So what's happening here is so we're watching a bout in progress. The game is generally played to the best of 3 bouts. We're just going to generally, hopefully, probably just play one, I think, tonight. We might do a second one if it ends really quickly. But what you're trying to do in a bout is you're trying to deactivate one robot on the opposing team. So we've got, if I've got the little, can the viewers see my hand here? The black hand of the
Yes,
GM
we can. Yes.
On the screen. Fantastic. So we've got 2 robots down here, Relay and Insectoid, who are forming one team. And up here we've got Juggernaut, who is currently flying through the air, and Magnetron, who are the other team. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to deactivate one robot on the opposing team. So you're going to use attacks. All the robots have got various weapons built into them. They'll have upgrades that they're using as well. And they're going to try to chip the armor off the opposing robots and deal a bunch of serious damage that will eventually deactivate them. As soon as one robot deactivates, lasers flare, klaxons go off, and the team that scored the damage scores a point.
Okay.
First team to 2 points wins. So the thing they're trying to do at this point is they're playing with a deck of cards for each robot. So they've got a limited deck, and they'll have a limited hand of cards, and they're all playing a card simultaneously, and then taking turns in order of the speed values on the cards. Can you zoom in on a card so players can?
Oh yes, let's have a look.
So so here we go. So that's the desperate action for desperate action. That's not a good thing to see early on in the game. So
great,
top left-hand corner, top left-hand corner, we've got a speed value. Every card's got one of those, and that will determine the order in which the robots do things in the round. And then a bunch of action icons in the middle there. So we've got an attack action, a move 7, and a utility action, which they can use for various different things. And the special rule here is they can only use one of those icons. So it really is a desperate action. It's pretty last ditch. The reason that card exists is that when you're controlling both robots, you're shuffling their small deck of cards, one for each robot together, so you've got a combined deck. The desperate action lives in your hand, so you always have at least one action, even if you get an unlucky draw. I can see, the players can't hear me talking, right? I can give secrets away.
Yeah.
I can see that there is a handful of relay cards here. So there's either a cunning plan afoot or a significant misinterpretation of what desperate means.
Well, so
either way, yeah.
We tried it. So people who have watched some of our streams before will no doubt have heard of Nerd. His win rate is basically 100%. And he is the one taking over this team of 2. He's one operator versus 2 robot operators. We're trying to handicap him as much as we can. And it looks like he's opening up with what I think is what like a bad strategy, but it's Nerd, so there's got to be some sort of crazy...
Like the Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope situation.
Exactly.
I mean, is he kind of lulling him into a false sense of security?
Yep.
Also, I mean, he's run Relay, who is the lightest robot in the game.
Okay.
Really quick, really maneuverable, terrible in terms of damage output and armor. Relay has run straight at Juggernaut, who's the opposite, who is the biggest, scariest robot in the game.
Okay.
It's what I would call, in my professional opinion, an interesting move. So let's see what happens, right?
Yeah.
So now we can see Insectoids activating and opening up. And we've activated the Disintegrator. So each robot has got a pair of these upgrade system cards.
Okay.
In the full game,
here we go.
you'll get the chance to purchase the upgrade systems you want. You can kind of choose the robots you want, the upgrades you want. I think teams take turns picking one. For this, we've just set the teams up with some existing robots. But all of these systems start the game offline. And you activate them by moving through these activation tokens on the board, and they're one shot. Once you've used them, they go away. The robots also have some cards which will let them activate things. But basically this lets you bring one of your things online, and crucially, you don't have to bring one on for that particular robot. So Insectoid there, if it moves through a token, it can bring its own system online, or it can bring one for Relay online. Either way.
Okay.
So the quicker robots are good at kind of setting up their teammate. But actually, looking, there's a desperate action on both sides here. Both Insectoid and Relay have used desperate action. There is a good precedent here, because a desperate action, you're going to end up with more cards in your hand.
That's what Nerd wants.
Cards early on.
He wants
That's
options.
what it is, isn't it?
Yep.
That's what's happening. Yeah. I see already what's happening here. Okay, interesting.
Okay, but I know he's kind of setting himself like maybe a step behind though, in order to have these extra options.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're gonna, it's not bad, because I don't think I've mentioned this yet. The really important thing is that your deck of cards does not recycle by itself.
Okay.
So as your cards come out, you'll see this on the other side. You leave your card that you've played out, and you kind of have what's called a command chain. So the cards will start coming down, so you can see which cards have come out. As you can see over there on the Juggernaut side. So that card, once it flips, you'll start seeing there's like a stack of cards coming down. They stay there. So that means two things. First of all, your deck gets smaller as you go on, but also everyone involved can see all the cards that have come out.
Okay.
So as you get more familiar with the game, more familiar with the cards that are in the deck, you'll be like, hang on, has Relay used its Vital Strike card?
Nice.
Has that come out already? So there's kind of a little system mastery kind of thing going on. But you don't get those cards back until you use a card called a Power Down. Actually, I've got a spare one over here if you want to come and have a look at that. Let me throw it down in front of your camera here.
There we go.
So every player has one of these in their hand, and you can play it on either robot in your team, or if you're controlling just the one, you play on your one. And it means your robot does nothing in the turn. Speed 0, you do nothing at all, but you can regain all the command cards from one robot. And it is usually a case, not of if you use it, but of when you use it. So by getting those desperate actions in early, Nerd has kind of potentially delayed the power down by a turn.
Yeah.
So it's a solid move. I've seen it work.
Okay.
I think with both robots at the start is brave, because you're kind of seeding the early, positioning to the other team. But I do see though that Relay has already got away from Juggernaut there, which is sensible.
Okay, so he played Special Delivery. It had the highest speed of anybody, so he was able to do his thing first, and he chose the move action, moved 7 spaces away. Yeah, very cool. So, and then look at the size of Nerd's hand, because he's got control cards for both robots in his hand.
Yep.
And meanwhile, these two operators that are kind of teaming up, controlling one robot each, they only have 3 options in their hand. So Nerd definitely has himself set up to have all these different, I don't know.
It's interesting. So, there's an interesting sort of dynamic. So when we put this game, I'm going to dig into some stories, into some background here. So we put this game on Kickstarter back in 2020 originally as Robot Fight Club, which you can see on the shelf behind me and up there as well. We've got various different versions of the box.
Nice.
And I'm sure we can talk more about that later, but that was a 2-player game. So it was always one person on one person controlling 2 robots.
Okay. With
Steel Colosseum, we wanted to kind of, for a start, we had the ability to put just so much more awesome artwork into the game. The game looks so tasty now. I'm really proud of how it works. But we were able to expand it to 2 to 4 players, and the way it balances is that if you're controlling both robots by yourself, you have full knowledge of what's happening, right? You know exactly what cards are in your hand. If you've got a teammate, you don't have knowledge of which cards are in your teammate's hand.
Ah, I see.
And also, you don't know what they're necessarily going to play, and you can communicate with them, but you must communicate openly in a way the other team can hear.
Okay.
So there's kind of a balancing factor there. The way it kind of comes back is that the 2 players though, they have their operator. Every player has an operator. We've got Hannah over here, Raoul and Indira over here. They each have a little ability, which they get to use a certain number of times during a bout, and with 2 players on the team, you get 2 abilities. So it seems to balance quite nicely.
Oh, I would use this right away. This Hannah effect.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
It's a great one. Although it's really handy to save, because towards the end of a bout, when all of the activation tokens have gone, each robot has 1 card in their deck which lets you bring a system online.
I see.
But once those have gone, Hannah's ability to just bring a system online can be really useful, especially because there are things that can cause you, like they can make opposing systems deactivate. So it's like a good insurance one. It's very powerful. You have to do it once per bout, but I've seen it used in some really interesting tactical ways. Oh, now something interesting.
We're taking some damage already. Oh,
yeah. So I believe, is that Relay taking a hit, or is that Insectoid? No, Relay's taking a. Oh no, Magnetron.
No, it's Magnetron. Yeah.
Oh, with the disintegrator. So this is a nasty attack.
Oh, a ranged attack.
Obliterated a chunk of armor. Yeah. So the robots generally don't have ranged weapons by default. There's 1 robot in the set, Sentinel over here, who does have a ranged attack as its primary weapon.
Oh, how many? I thought there was only 4 robots. How many different robots?
There are 6. There are 6.
Okay, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So you always have some. Even if you're the last pick to pick, you always have some options.
Okay.
So we've got these 4 here plus the other 2. In fact, if you like, in a minute, I'll do a little rundown of the 6 robots.
Oh yes, please. That'd be fun.
But yeah, so disintegrator is a horrible thing for a start. Normally, when you knock the armor off a robot, it flips over into a scrap token and lands in the arena, and then either team can pick that up, and that's like the currency you use to buy trick cards and things.
This just melted the armor right away.
It's gone. Yeah.
Nice.
So already that was a nasty amount of damage.
Yeah.
Also, Insectoid used the assassinate card, which adds 1 to the damage dealt. So that's 3 points of damage. Which took out both points of armor and flashed over into 1 serious damage card.
Okay.
That is in fact a system failure, which would have taken one of Magnetron's systems offline. It looks like I don't think Magnetron had any online systems anyway, but basically, ouch.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I see. Yeah. So you can turn a system online and then take damage and have it.
Some things can. Yeah, there's like 2 cards in the deck that will do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Magnetron's refusing to stand up and play nice.
Nice.
Wait, let me just help out here. There we go. Be the helping hand of God. There we go. Right. Tabletop simulator. So already there's some damage happening here, and what's happening is that damage will stack up, and all the cards in the serious damage deck have got like 0, 1, or 2 of these critical icons at the top. Once a robot has taken as many critical damage as the number on its card, it's deactivated in the bout.
Game over.
So 1 more card could kill Magnetron. We could have a very,
very quick bout. Yeah.
In which case, I'll be telling the players how to set up for a new bout.
Okay, that'd be fun. We'll see. Yeah. So we told the players that if they're still basically playing bout 1 in 10 minutes, then bout 1 is all we get. But if Nerd just melts Magnetron right away, we'll get a second bout in.
That's fun. Before we did Robot Fight Club on Kickstarter, we did like a demo tour around the country, and we kind of showed off the game in various stores, gaming clubs, whatever else.
Yeah.
And what I love was it always draws a crowd. It's quite a nice spectacle sport. Like some games are just like that, right?
Yep.
Because it's got the kind of attention, what's going to be drawn, and it's quite visual. You can see what's happening.
Yeah.
You can see the armor around the robots.
Yes.
You can see the damage stacking up, and like it's. People got quite emotional. They were kind of cheering on the tables, and that warmed my heart so much.
Oh, and more critical damage happening. What's happening now?
Yeah, I think, is that Relay taking a hit?
It looks like it, yeah.
Armor. That's from Magnetron, so Magnetron's come back and hit back. The onboard attacks on the robots have different kind of positions and things. Okay. What I wanted to do is, I find, with an arena combat game, you want to make sure movement is a priority. And maneuvering, because what you don't want is the combatants kind of just sitting
Yep.
side by side, and you're
Yep.
rolling dice, whatever it is, to see what happens. So giving them all different kind of places where their attacks happen does that, and having the different facings, of course, does that. And there's places where it interacts. So Relay, for example, Relay's little tiny weeny robot, but has the ability to double its damage that it causes by really throwing its body into the punch, but it then rotates it and puts its less armored side towards the enemy. So you have to kind of think, is it worth it, you know?
Interesting. It's a good like finisher,
Yeah.
maybe.
Exactly. I mean, that's what Relay is all about, running around and then jumping in for the finishing move.
Yeah.
It's got, one of the cards is Vital Strike, which does, let me get the exact thing of it. Basically, it's the one that comes in and just finishes off an enemy. Here we go. Yeah. If there's a robot, that's it. Sorry, that's the one that takes out enemy upgrades.
Okay.
So basically, Relay kind of runs up and just yanks the cord out, kind of thing. Deactivate systems and things, but also it's got ones where like if the target hasn't got any armor on a location, it deals more damage. It's like the killing blow kind of hit thing, you know. So really, the two robots we've got here, it's like Team Unsubtle at the back here.
Yeah.
You know, Magnetron and Relay, and Juggernaut, sorry, are two just big scary robots.
Yeah.
And then kind of Team Quick and Sneaky over here.
Quick and sneaky and high damage. What's the so how do you balance this though? Like Juggernaut's got armor everywhere. He does 2 damage into 3 different spaces. Like he just seems more powerful than all the rest. Is his deck weaker, or what's going on?
So the main things are, so each robot's got a deck of 7 or 8 cards, depending on whether you're playing 1 or 2 robots in your team. So it's 7 cards plus a desperate action. And there are 2 kind of things that balance it. So first of all, you've got the actual speed values in the cards, and there's this will launch. We're launching it with an expansion with 4 more robots in.
Oh, nice.
We're juggling the speed values of 10 robots.
Yeah.
I used to have hair.
Right.
But like, it's taken a lot of time to get the balancing right. But what it means is that Juggernaut's cards, on average, are the slowest in the deck.
Okay.
But Juggernaut still has at least 1 card that is faster than every other robot's slowest card, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Juggernaut still has a chance to go before Relay.
Sure.
But on average, Relay's going first. Also, things like the actual movement rates, for example. So Juggernaut is generally moving between 3 and 5 squares. Relay is moving sort of between 6 and 10 on a single card. And then the others kind of fall anywhere between that. So it's a mixture of different things. Generally in the deck, you've got kind of 3 really unique looking actions. You've got then a bunch of ones that do like just fair, good mixes of moving and combat. And then of course the really like the desperate action, for example, which is just lame and no one wants it. But hey, it has its uses.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So we've kind of got this kind of little melee happening in the middle here, where they're all coming around, and like they're all taking damage. We're seeing already a lot of damage happening. We're seeing some scrap piling up. And the scrap tokens they've got, they can use those to buy these trick cards over here, which will let them. In fact, I think there's one being, one of them's being exchanged for a new one, and these are just little things that let you, exploit the game and do little things. Some of them are more useful for some robots than others. So, for example, Spin on a Dime, Insectoid or Relay not as useful. For Juggernaut, that's a free point of movement every turn, which is potentially really, really useful.
Can you react to being hit to be like to turn to your more armored side with this card?
No, that is during the robot's turn.
So
there are very few things that let you do stuff in the opponent's turn. I think the only ones are there's one thing which there's a couple of upgrades that let you prevent a robot from either moving closer to you or moving away from you. But generally, we want to keep it fairly straightforward. So when it's your turn, you're doing your stuff.
Nerd just won.
No way! Oh wow! Yeah, there it is. Wow. Magnetron got
lured them into a false sense of security, and then just pounded on Magnetron's weak side.
Love it. There it is. I mean, what's not to like, right? So I think they're probably going to come in here and talk to us, or shall I go to them and get them set up for the next bout? How should we do this?
Let's just join them in their room.
Let's do it. Let's go in.
We might lose your camera for a sec, but that's all right.
It was, yeah.
Well played.
Well, yeah.
So good on Ned's side, yeah.
Yeah, that was the disintegrator. What was the kill shot?
The kill shot was the Claymore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So the Claymore is it's nasty. It's a one use. You flip it after you use it. But hey, The alternative is to just finish the bout after you've used it, which that also works. So are we?
Limited users.
Yeah. Are we flipping into a new bout here? What are we doing?
Yeah, we've got time.
Got time, yeah.
Cool. So tell you what we'll do is, if we let's not get into all the detail. Normally, between bouts, what would happen is you would get the chance to buy a bunch of new upgrades. You kind of get a bunch of new upgrade cards out. Let's skip that, otherwise we'll end up. It's a load of detail we don't need right now. I'd rather see a second bout played out.
Yeah.
What we will do though is reset the arena. So bring the robots back to their starting positions.
We just reload the game. Would that be faster than trying to move everything?
That's a fantastic idea. Let me do that. Yeah, let's do it. The only thing is though, actually no, because you the scrap tokens you've got, you can now put them back on your robots for armor, but you don't get any new armor tokens back.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's pretty
I'll
neat.
take. Okay, so did you say it was from our scrap thing between us, right?
Yes.
I need
So,
to
yeah.
smaller one.
You take 2, I'll take 1.
Cool.
nice.
And what I might say is, have a look at which tokens are missing. Then I'll reset to get things back to as they were. But then you can just replicate the armor you've got now. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yep.
And of course, this is not a feature we'll be shipping the game with, unfortunately.
This reset button, yeah.
Yeah. But have you got your armor tokens looked at? You know what's missing?
Yeah.
Pretty good, yeah, cool. And yeah, normally between bouts you'd also spend that scrap to buy additional upgrades potentially. But let's just keep things simple. I'm gonna do this.
Have you considered making a very complicated magnetism system so you can just hit the button and everything just snaps back?
Nothing would make me happier than being able to do that. You'll need to recolor your robots. That's the only thing you'll need to do. Let me reorganize this. Here we go. So that was interesting. Any thoughts on that first game, people? How did that go?
Don't turn sideways.
Going pretty good. Yeah, I think it'll definitely be. It's definitely one of those where I think the two, obviously the lack of communication between the two players is a slight disadvantage to begin with. But I think as we get into it and know what we're running with,
and don't forget your operator abilities. That's the balancing factor you've got. So make use of those.
By the way, am I forced to start here, or can I decide on any of the 3 areas?
So yeah, what will happen is you can start on any one of those 3. What basically happens is the team who lost the previous bout gets to pick their. They place one of their robots in their 3. Oh my goodness! Don't look over to this side of the table. I've just thrown cards everywhere. Let's rewind quickly. Yeah, that's always a thing. Here we go. Yeah, so the losing team over here places one of their robots.
Wait a second.
And then you go back and forth, placing one on one of your 3 starting squares.
Right, so
let me look for the card I'm looking for.
Start with mine there.
I thought, we'll happily just get one game in, but no, what I wasn't considering was that this might happen. Here we go.
Yeah, that's cool.
To be honest, I was learning about focusing Joe down since he had the weaker robot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like you only have to deactivate one robot. That's the thing. So even though Juggernaut is really scary, you can just ignore Juggernaut and stay out of its way. And the thing is, there are upgrades. One of the upgrades that is generally a big favorite for Juggernaut, I think it might already be on the board. It's called the Zip Quick CPU, and it means that you play it at the start of the turn, and you go first, whatever the speed value you say.
I have that.
There you go, You put that on Juggernaut, and it's a very scary time. And that becomes part of the strategy is when you're playing a game, you don't let the other player get Juggernaut and that card. Cool. And so once you're all set up, you'll be good to go. Are you happy to start up again?
Yeah.
As we'll jump back over then, Garth.
Okay, yeah.
See you over there.
Meet you over in the other room.
All right.
Okay, so they're gonna go again.
Yeah. That was cool.
Can we get your video back up?
It's coming in its own good time.
Okay. All right. Nice.
Here we go. Yes, I apologise to anyone watching. My camera needs replacement, basically. But yeah, so far it seems to be going pretty well, right?
Yes, no, I like it. I think this is a very cool. Um, it's a cool system. I like the like kind of sort of programming aspect of it at the beginning where everyone is like secretly declaring like what their instructions are to the robot, but then there's a lot of like
Yeah.
then there's a lot of actually like more transparent actions happening too. It's a good mix of sort of kind of different angles.
Absolutely. I mean, there was always this kind of not a concern, but I was very conscious of the fact when you make a game with robots moving around a grid, Robo Rally was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a classic. So we wanted to kind of steer away from hard and fast programming. The very first version of the game had a little bit of like a programming element, like you were literally programming and move forward to, then turn left, whatever else. And we wanted to loosen it up just because you're making enough of a decision. You're throwing down a card to say, I'm going to do this particular thing, but then you get to kind of choose the details of that when it comes around to your turn. And it just feels like it's the right sort of balance, of decision making and options for the player. Really, is my camera back now? Yes, it is. Cool.
I don't see it, but I'll turn it on.
It'll get there. Yeah.
So we just already saw Nerd just hit both of his robots first,
Yep.
and he sprinted right to the control point to turn 2 upgrades on, and then this one sprinted over here and turned another on. So he's fully activated already and has the middle of the board.
Now, what I would suggest, so Juggernaut is already using the manual activation card. I know for a fact, I think that Juggernaut's got it hasn't got a weapon system, but it's got a couple of systems which will let it maybe maneuver around a bit more, do some kind of clever things.
Okay.
So potentially, Juggernaut can do horrible things to Relay. So Nerd's kind of presented the back there in the hope that Juggernaut won't get there quickly, but Juggernaut does have some potential, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Relay is facing the wrong way. If Juggernaut can get him from behind, he can't quite one-shot him, right? I don't think there's a way to one-shot him.
So you're always limited by, you can only ever inflict one serious damage card.
Yeah, okay.
But you can get like a couple of shots in. And also there's other things like, for example, Juggernaut's Wrecker Arms, you can spin the target robot to whichever way you want to face.
Yeah. So you can mess with them in other ways. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's quite brutal. We've certainly seen. I've seen games where Relay's tried like hiding behind an obstacle, but Juggernaut's got various things. So Juggernaut's Wrecker Arms, for example, will with one of its cards you can destroy obstacles.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And it's like it just feels like it's just a big bully. It's just pulling scenery out of the way to get to the target. And you can feel like Juggernaut is just this indestructible, unstoppable Juggernaut, I suppose. But it's like we've all got our favourite robots. People that have worked in this game, we've all got our favourite robots. Now, mine, I go back and forth between Juggernaut and Magnetron. I think they're the most characterful ones for me. I just like their playstyle, but I'm not a subtle person, so that's why.
Yeah.
There we go. So have you got any more questions about like kind of anything to do with the game?
I was kind of more enthralled by the actual what's happening in the game, but we should talk about your kind of I think there's been a kind of quite a journey this game has been through, right? Since it was started as Robot Club. Oh, let me zoom in.
It was so you can zoom in on. You can see behind me Robot Fight Club on the thing over there. We've got Robot Fight Club up here as well, which is it's a bit of a duller box. This is my original mock-up.
Okay.
And actually, so the original, but originally it was called Project Bash. That was like the working title, Project Bash.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a mock-up box. But then I recovered it to make this one, and I wish I had the original still, so I could kind of have them in a line.
Yeah.
But it's been through like a whole bunch of different versions over the years. We first started working on it must have been 2018.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And it kind of came. Oh, here we go. The Zip Quick CPU's just come in. So,
okay, here we go.
So Insectoids jumping the queue and going first. This is going to be another massacre, isn't it? This is going to be horrific. Wow. Here it comes, the assassinate card. This is just nasty.
Wow.
I've distracted myself now.
I know,
But yeah, so we took the game, we worked it, because so Needy Cat Games, it's for the last year it's been me and my partner Sophie. She's currently working for another company.
Mm-hmm.
But we've always been we mainly design games for other people. That's kind of thing we've been doing for
Okay.
most of the past while. But we really wanted to do something for ourselves, and so we came up with the idea. Like we went out for dinner one night. We were like, "What are we gonna do?" And we sat like we wrote some basic ideas on the back of a napkin, and we were like, "Robot fighting, like arena combat game, a bit like Robot Wars." That was kind of what we came to, or like what was the movie Real Steel with Hugh Jackman?
Oh
Which
yes.
was a few years ago, like a robot fighting. It's basically Rock'em Sock'em Robots, the movie, right?
Yes.
And we thought all of that kind of stuff came out. There was like did you see on Netflix? There was a series was it called like Love, Death and Robots or something?
Yes,
like that?
I love that.
It was really cool. There was the one episode where it's like they weren't robots. It was like a fighting arena, like big, like mutated, genetically altered monsters.
Yeah.
And you had people in like these control pods. You're like, that's really cool. Can we do something like that? And so. Yeah, it was like a fairly lengthy development process because we're doing it like in our spare time, which every indie designer does. That's what you do, and it was so nice to be kind of feeling like we were doing part of that now because doing it as a day job, it can feel like you're cheating. I've got all day to design games, whereas kind of having to squeeze it in the weekends, the evenings, all of that. It felt like we were really joining the indie crowd.
By the way, Nerd just won again.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. How? What happened? I'm astonished.
Assassinate.
Assassinate? It can't be because with the disintegrator assassinate. With relays back. Oh no.
Yes.
Oh wait. Well, hang on. That's how. Who? Hang on. I'm confused. Who's taking the hit? Because relay hasn't got the damage cards. Magnetron's not in line of sight unless. Oh no! Look, it was the assassinate, and then I think it was relay with a special delivery.
Oh,
so relay's
there we
come
go.
in and done the finishing punch.
Finishing blow. Boom.
Wow, that's the quickest couple of bouts I've seen
know.
in quite a while. But I think when we set this up, I was like, 20 minutes is average for a game in person with experienced players. But on Tabletop Simulator for new players, it's generally longer than that. I take it all back.
We needed to give Nerd more of a handicap. So one of the shows that we've been talking about starting on this channel is sort of like a Beat the Nerd. I mean, it's kind of we're kind of already there, right? Like, Nerd is unstoppable. He's already just taken it down again.
Well, shall we jump over and or should we ask him to come to us?
Yeah, hopefully they'll come over here so we don't lose your camera again. But yeah, so this game has been through a lot. Have you? Do you have a Kickstarter date? Self-publishing is in the horizon.
Yeah, so just to blitz through quickly. So we went on Kickstarter in 2020 as Robot Fight Club. COVID happened on day 5 of the campaign. UK went into lockdown. We ended up pulling the campaign, and then last year we were approached by Zatu Games in the UK, who were like, "Would you be interested in us kind of helping you publish it?" We're like,
okay, great,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. That's like a big thing. It made it a lot easier for us. But it's their first go at doing anything, so we've been kind of helping them through the process of designing and publishing a game. So
that's fun.
It's been a kind of nice collaborative thing,
Okay. Cool.
So it's hitting Kickstarter on the 10th of May. I want to say 10th of May is the date that we've got.
Okay.
I've not heard anything different from that, so I believe it's the 10th of May. Not very long to go now.
Yeah. Wow. That's soon. That's great.
It's very, very soon.
Yeah.
So
conveniently near my payday. I'm hopping on this bandwagon. This is a very fun game.
Did you enjoy it?
It's great.
Normally it lasts longer. What can I say?
Yeah. So what's the average sort of bout length? What, like 2 or 3 cards or?
So normally, when you've got 2 people that know what they're doing, like two teams, they've played the game a few times, they understand the game. You're generally looking at a bout taking around 20 minutes. So you will usually get 6 or 7 cards out.
Wow.
6 or 7 rounds of play. A lot of the time. I mean, I'm wondering if I've set up a really broken combo with the Insectoid Disintegrator.
Insectoid Disintegrator has been,
yeah. Because that was horrific. But hey, I mean, Relay got the killing blow. That's what counts.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, so it's generally about 45 minutes to an hour for a full game, depending on whether you go to 2 or 3 bouts in the end. Because obviously, if each team wins one, then the third one is the decider.
Yeah.
So it's quite a lean playtime, though. It's not a long game.
So one thing we did kind of skip over in this sort of playthrough is the kind of the setup / drafting / like building your robot, which to me is kind of one of the more fun parts of in my mind of what like a robot fight is, right? You're kind of built
Absolutely.
like you got to build your robot, set up your combos, like attach this arm here, and put some extra plating here or whatever.
Well, should I show you kind of how it would work?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So, because so what we say in the rules is, for your first game, here's a basic setup. Use this, because it's one of those things like with any sort of game like this where you're building a team, until you know what everything does, there's no point even trying.
Exactly. No. Yes. This is your starting lineup.
Yeah. So what happens is at the start of the game, you will have you get all your upgrades of each type. You've got 3 types of upgrades, and you basically lay out a row of 4 of each. So here's your 4 special. This will be a chance for you people who have played to have a look through the other kind of cards that are out here. So each time you play, you get a different array of things out. So it means the gameplay is different each time, and you will start seeing some synergies and interesting things up between the robots that are, that are interesting. So you get all these cards out, and then what happens is the teams take turns, and it's teams, not players.
Okay.
Teams take turns selecting either a robot or a card from the market. So that's the 16, the 12 cards that will be available here.
Okay.
When you start off with a budget of 8 scrap tokens. Okay. And then your robots are free, because of course they are all perfectly balanced, honest. No, to be fair, they've been through a lot of refinement, but I would never suggest that they are perfectly balanced in any way. But you got the robots are free, and then these ones have a scrap cost in the top corner, so you're paying for those and adding them to the thing. What happens is you take turns buying one, and you place it into what we call your cache, which is like a little stack of face down upgrade cards in the middle of your play area.
Yeah.
And then once you can pass once you've bought 2 robots. Once both teams have passed, then you secretly allocate your upgrades to your robots. Okay. So you might not have. I mean, you might only buy 3, so you might have 1 on one robot, 2 on the other. You might buy 5, so you've got all 4 plus 1 extra in the middle that you can swap in and out using.
Between rounds. Okay.
Between rounds, but also each robot has a hot swap card. I removed it from the deck for the purpose of these games, because we didn't have anything in the cache. Yeah. This is a card. I'll put it right in the middle here. This is basically a card that every robot has, which lets it swap and upgrade with one from its cache.
Nice.
So it's quite a handy one. And some of the one of the robots in the expansion lets you swipe upgrades from other robots, which is just a dirty, dirty move, and put them into your cache. So so yes, you do that, and then you take note in that you go to you set up the board there. I mean, there are multiple setups. We've just used the most basic setup here, but let me find.
There's all these like kind of pieces of scrap, like blocking people's movement. You got to move.
So we've got various different ones, and we're actually moving these out of the book and onto cards.
Oh,
so
fun.
You shuffle and deal a card kind of thing. But some of them are kind of. I mean, one of them, the dividing line, is one of my favourites because it's very. You got this big kind of bottleneck until Juggernaut appears, at which point he smashes through.
Right, he just smashes through it. Okay.
Did Juggernaut do any smashing obstacles in that game? I don't think it did.
Yeah, I smashed 1 obstacle.
Good.
I thought I was about to, and then the round ended. The killer assassinate lays it. The assassinate disintegrator and claymore combo.
Yeah.
I'll say that felt a little bit like the first fight in Gladiator, where he just goes in, slaughters everyone in the arena.
Yep.
And it's like, are you not entertained? That's kind of what happened there. The crowd wanted more blood, but you just went straight to the slaughter. So you got all these different setups and things, and so there's all different ways to play, and you're getting, depending on the robots that are in, the upgrades that are available at the start, and the operators you choose, you'll see different strategies emerge in the game.
Yeah. Oh, when do you get to draft your operators? Is that part of this?
Oh, yes. That's it's part of the. So you let me remind myself. It's one of these. When you design a game, I'm sure everyone knows this. You change the way things work.
Oh yeah, totally.
I'm going to double check the rule book until it actually settled down.
Nice.
Yeah, here we go. So we've got the obligatory cute first player. It's the last player who programmed something, and you can argue amongst yourself that qualifies as. Okay. Or of course you just use the Schwazi app like people tend to. They pick an operator and you just go clockwise around the table.
Got it.
So there are 4 operators in the game.
Okay.
So the Kickstarter is launching with 2 expansions which have been developed alongside the game.
Okay.
What we did was we developed this first. What I'm not a fan of, and I'm sure everyone will agree with this, I don't like it when you feel like an expansion has taken core content out of the game.
Exactly. Yes.
I feel like I've been burned by that too many times, especially on Kickstarter. So this is a fully self-contained. I would play this game till the cows come home, and then what we've done is we've added some extra things. So there's a little card deck upgrade called the Signature Moves expansion, which is 2 more operators and a bunch of, basically they are cards which, if you're playing as Hannah and you're using Relay and Insectoid, you have a signature move for each of those robots.
Oh, I see. Okay, right.
So it's like special moves that tie into that character's personality and that particular robot. So that's that. And then we've got the additional expansion with 4 new robots. So those 2 things just add more variety, basically.
Yeah.
But even with just the 6 robots and the 4 operators, you've got a lot of different things going on. The robots we didn't see, incidentally. So we've got, as we said, Relay is our kind of speedster, really quick. Not much in the way of health, and not much in the way of damage, but it has some kind of cool utility abilities. Insectoid is the scary, creepy killer robot that apparently wins games. Magnetron is kind of ramshackle, has a lot of armor, but if you get through it, hasn't got a lot of damage. But what I like about Magnetron, the story behind it is all the robots have kind of come from different places. They're like repurposed ones that have been scrapped at some point. Magnetron was built right here in the arena out of parts, so it's got like a card door and a big electromagnet and oil barrels. He's kind of he's the scrappy underdog, you know?
Yeah.
Juggernaut is like this whopping great demolitions mech that just breaks things. And then we've got 2 others. So we've got Sentinel, who is basically like a military blockade drone. So it's got a whopping great gun shield at the front and a gun. So it's the only thing that has a gun. The card for that, as you can see, lots of front armor, very little at the back, not much maneuvering in the deck, but has a ranged weapon. With the downside that it has a blind spot. If you're standing directly in front of it, it can't hit you.
Perfect. Just sit this guy in a corner. I like it. Yeah,
absolutely. And then we have Shiba Zero, who's our kind of like rescue dog robot that kind of would go into like disaster areas and rescue people, and has a typo on its card that should be 2 damage on the bite attack there. So a nice little bite, and. One of the things quite cool with that is when you bite any armor off an enemy, even if it would normally land in other spaces, you collect it all, so you grab all the armor you've torn off. And Shiba's kind of a midpoint, so not the biggest robot. Like Magnetron only has 3 structure points or critical damage points,
and not that much armor either.
Has a decent amount of armor, but has lots of kind of very helpful cards. And kind of playing kind of faithful hound kind of idea. So is good at like picking up scrap and activating systems and all that kind of thing. So so the robots have their own personalities. They all feel unique.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've been playing this version of the game through development for, about 4 years.
Nice.
Yeah, about 4 years now. So it feels like that it's really it's developed nicely in that time.
Do people have like their favorite robots that they're always going to try to draft? Or...
Absolutely. And half of the fun is taking your opposing player's favorite robot.
Yes.
That's mental warfare, right? You're going to get in their heads and take their favorite robot.
And I think if you're trying to win, right, you want to see what cards come out when you're building your robot, right? Yeah. So like, okay, there's a buzzsaw. Like, I don't know, I don't need to take Juggernaut this game because there's a buzzsaw. Add to any robot, right, or whatever. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, the classic one is you don't let Juggernaut get the zip quick CPU, but also if Juggernaut's there, you get rid of things that let it move. If Relay's there, you get rid of things like there's a force field card which lets Relay ignore damage, so you get rid of that one. You don't let Relay have that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those sorts of little synergies that kind of start coming in.
Yes.
And then things that tie in with... So Hannah, for example, the operator ability is bringing a system online. So you don't let Hannah have a card like Claymore, which is you can use it when it goes offline. Because you can then immediately bring it back on.
Bring it back, just double Claymore. Oof.
Yeah. So that's what you do like before a bout. When you go between bouts, what you'd normally have, in addition to what we saw, is you would have what we call the swap meet, which is basically the way we sort of see it is we imagine this. So the Steel Colosseum itself, not to go too deep on a dive, but the Steel Colosseum is a big sort of towering arena in the middle of a wasteland, in the centre of a massive junkyard, and it's kind of a multi-level entertainment thing built around this sport. And the scrap circuit, as it's called, because scrap circuit is a pun that really gets to me. I love it. What you have is the bouts would be on like consecutive nights.
Okay.
So the time between is like you're taking the time to go and pull your robot apart, put it back together, repair it, give it a new paint job. I love the idea that the characters are really the operators are really characterful. Our artist Chris has done a great job of bringing them to life. They've got these really interesting personalities, and I love the idea that they paint their robots up. They kind of cover them in like their own logos and designs and things, you know. And so you would totally see, like, as you see on the actual cards and stuff, all these little kind of doodles and things around the edges. Chris.
We lost him again?
Yeah, I think he'll pop back
Very
in.
different to Megatron controlled by Hannah. Oh no, but did I go? Am I back?
Yeah, just for a sec, we got a little clip off.
Sorry. Yeah, general point is that the robots would look different each time as well. But yeah, so the point is that between bouts, as well as kind of using your repairs, what you'd also do is you would deal out from the unused upgrades 2 more of each.
Okay.
So you have a chance to buy more things mid-bout.
Love it. Yeah.
And you know, it means that you've just got that kind of chance to bring some other surprises in. You know, try out some new things, and it's just it means that the strategy develops as the game goes on. If you find that your opponent's really got a really strong ranged game, you might start playing for some more maneuver cards to get up close quicker.
You can almost I can picture, so the flavor is on point. I can definitely picture all of this happening, and that's brilliant. I also kind of almost want to tell a story or make a campaign that's longer than just 3 bouts, right? Like maybe the grand tournament at the end of the year is going to have 7 bouts. I feel like maybe there's some room for some home rules or something where you can.
One of the things that we've talked about for a long time, and I really want to do it at some point. I don't know when or how, but I would love to do an expansion that does like a league bracket kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you can play through and have you take your operator list, because the whole idea is that the robots belong to the arena, right?
Yes.
So you come in and you pick one of the house robots, and you then get to have it for a week and customize it. And I love the idea of playing with that. Like, you get your team, and maybe you lose the bid. I've had a relay the entire way through, but now I've lost relay.
Oh no!
I think there's some fun to be had there, definitely.
That's neat.
So I'd love to do that.
Yeah. I love that. That's a really fun world you've kind of built there.
I want to make more games in the setting. It's,
right.
At the start of a little shared universe.
I like just the little effects too, like on the operator cars, they've got a follow and donate button, adorable.
It feels like there's a world around, and like I say, Chris. I mean, the cover art on the rulebook, which is the box art. Let me just get back to the first page. I love the look of it, with the crowd and the front. I mean, it just looks like it sells the feeling of it, right?
Yeah.
And then, even on the board itself, the board is so covered in detail. There's all the crowd out holding signs and things. You can see them all in there,
Yeah.
There are so many little in-jokes. We've got a Discord server where we're kind of coordinating the design of the game.
Nice.
And there was a whole channel of just bad puns and jokes and references for all the little things. So, it's been a really fun project.
So we can't play a game without interviewing Nerd about his victory. So Nerd, opening moves are just to use desperate actions. Was that just a ploy to make your opponents get lulled into a false sense of security, or what was going on? What was going on there?
Honestly, it was part of a grand strategy and part of I can't read cards.
Nice. Okay.
That's exactly what I said. I said it was one of those 2 things.
And it was both.
Yeah.
There we go.
So first of all, I want to use one of basically my slowest cards that I had, and see what you are going to do.
I see.
Didn't expect that my opponents were so slow that even with my desperate cards, I was quicker than them.
Wow. Nice.
Yep.
And I was thinking that with my slowness, I can maybe set up something nice, maybe get a quick attack, which then I realized wasn't possible since I can only use one of those 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it worked out for you because then you had all these options in your hand for the rest of that game, which was just one more round.
Truth be told, yes, Claymore and Disintegration are the most powerful weapons you could give those 2, maybe except for shock pulse. But truth be told, I only take them twice each bout. So I think part being a bit lucky and part being only 3 health isn't really a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That is the thing. Certainly when you have Magnetron and Shiva with that 3 the 3 critical limit, the chances of you dying on 2 serious damage cards are quite a bit higher.
Right.
So like that is always, you always want to target the robot with the lower critical limit on the team. Although I mean I say that, but I mean even Juggernaut, once you get through one of the sides on Juggernaut, even with 5, you can kill it surprisingly quickly with a couple of lucky draws from the deck. And it's what always fascinates me. What I love is whenever I see the game being played, it's hard to predict exactly what will happen. You know, that feels like a good thing to me. Like, it's still able to surprise me. I mean, there are definitely patterns that I see a lot of, and that's what you kind of hope, I think. But the game is still able to surprise me. I wasn't expecting that to be over as quickly as it was, and yet here we are.
Truth be told,
how was it being on the other side of that? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, only question was what was your reaction of from the second bout to the first round where I unlocked everything in the first round?
I saw that too. Yeah, it's like, okay, all of his upgrades are online. Let's go. We were kind of mid discussion of something else, but I noticed, nerd, and I feared for the other team.
It felt like it was like the montage moment, right? The gear up montage.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there wasn't enough like bout after that to really justify that much stuff. But yeah, certainly. I mean, that's a valid strategy. One of the things we were discussing was the different ways to use like Hannah's ability with the system hack, which lets you bring a system online. It's like it's tempting to use it early, but saving it for later in the bout. I mean, and this is the thing none of you would have experienced here, but when the bout goes on for more than 2 rounds, what you find is that like activating systems becomes quite a commodity. Because you have your manual activation card. Once the activation tokens on the board have gone, you only have like certain trick cards and then like your manual activation. So having that in your pocket to bring something back on, or as we said, bringing your Claymore back online or something is just a good thing to be able to do. So yeah. But I was gonna say, how was it from the losing side? How did it feel over there?
It was all right. Felt a bit essentially trying to follow the fight, but failing. Kind of like,
right,
friends.
Right, you're just the big slow guy just trying to chase down the
Yeah. So I imagine in a longer game, like Juggernaut could be like a really, really good bastion for that kind of thing. But I think just from these 2 very short rounds, where admittedly it was sort of like not knowing what the rest of the deck could do and stuff.
Yeah. I
could see this working just as well, kind of going for essentially, although I know this also could drag out much longer, go for a full team, full team wipe versus the first to essentially first blood or first oil, I suppose.
I see what you're saying. Also having it so that you kind of eliminate a robot, you're trying to eliminate both on the team kind of thing.
But like I suppose it's one of those. I assume you've run it with both and had matches where it's gone on like Juggernaut's had like 5, 6, 7 as its only one, not been able to destroy the other 2.
What we found was that what it is. I mean, one of the things that I'm a big believer of in games, I like it when players are as invested as possible for as long as possible. And if you have a thing where like one player is playing relay, for example, really fragile, gets knocked out really early, then they're kind of sitting and waiting. We experimented with a few things like, for example, we had a thing where the player whose robot had been knocked out could use their turn to repair their robot back in their hangar bay and kind of bring it back into the fight. But it was extra complexity. I think so much of game design, from my point of view, is simplification and removing things. And so it kind of felt like we've always tried to resist adding too much extra stuff, keep the game lean. And if it plays short, then you'll play a second time maybe.
Right. Yeah.
What is nice though, I'll ask you this question because I always like to ask. Once you've played like the basic kind of quick start bout, would you be interested in playing again with the full range of options and being able to create your own team?
Absolutely.
Yep. 100%. I think everyone just said yes at the same time.
Yeah.
That's the sweet part. I am very excited to build my own robot, and I am ready. I'm ready to enter the arena.
What you find is sorry, go on.
I was going to say, likewise, like I was making the joke earlier about immediately signing up for the Kickstarter. I'm absolutely doing that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like my parents aren't board gamers and absolutely aren't sort of the deck building types, but I think even they would quite enjoy this level and stuff as well, like with the communication and things.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh yeah, especially if you can kind of play it like a game of bridge or something where you're two teams of two trying to communicate without actually saying the things you're not allowed to say. That's
we should have sat them across the table, shouldn't we? That's what we should have done. Had them like opposite each other on the table, so you can do the old bridge style, like passive aggressive glances across the table.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yep. Get those code words going.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned sign up for the Kickstarter. Like what kind of call to actions can we give the people that are watching this?
SteelColosseum.com.
Okay, excellent.
Check your spelling because Colosseum can be spelled 2 different ways.
Yep.
We went back and forth on this so much, and we almost didn't call it this because of the difference in spelling. But we love this name.
Yes.
The reason we went with it is Colosseum spelt this way is the Colosseum in Rome, whereas Colosseum, Coliseum, as a sports arena, and this wants to feel more like that gladiatorial thing.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So steelcolosseum.com, there's a sign up here thing towards the bottom. If you go to that and sign up, and if you sign up before the Kickstarter, and then you back for like the standard pledge, you'll get the signature moves expansion, the one with the extra operators and the signature moves.
Nice.
That gets thrown in for free. So that's a freebie. So that's worth doing.
Yes, sign up everybody and back it on day one so we can get your game up on the funded in 24 hours window, right? That's the clutch thing, right?
Yeah, that's what you have to do, right?
Yeah,
that's the thing you have to do. I'm just happy to see it out there. I mean, getting to this stage for me is so exciting because all the games I've worked on in the past that have kind of gone out and been successful have been ones that have been tied into someone else's IP. I've designed games for Games Workshop. I've designed games for we did Hellboy the board game, Devil May Cry. All these games that have got kind of big names attached to them.
Yes.
Knowing that a game that is completely our own thing.
Yeah.
It's our own wacky sci-fi universe kind of thing. If this can do well, it will make me very happy.
Exactly.
And just the fact that we've got all this lovely artwork for it, we've worked with a fantastic team of people. Our sculptor Tim has done amazing work. Our artist, our graphic designer, the look of the cards and the rulebook, it all sort of blends into this great universe, and I'm just so happy. So, okay, game.
Oh, John Glenn hey, thanks for chatting. Thanks for been watching this game. Excited for the Kickstarter. Thanks, John.
Woo.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Good. Yeah. No, we're all going to be there on day one for the Kickstarter. Thanks, James, for joining us and for showing us this game. Thanks to the players. Thanks to Joe for getting beat up like always whenever he faces off against Nerd. And and thanks to the viewers for tuning in. And don't forget Steel Coliseum spelled like the Roman one.com. And
that should have been the full URL.
Yes.
Steel Colosseum brackets spelled like the Roman one close brackets.
Yeah, I mean that URL has been taken since the Roman era. So
there you go.
Thanks all, and we'll see you next week.